Our next presenter, artist, is Sara deBeer. A Connecticut performing and teaching artist, Sara deBeer is affiliated with Storytellers in the Schools and is a trained facilitator for family read, book voyages, and literature for a lifetime. Sara has been a professional storyteller since 1978, using her wide repertoire of international folk tales. She tells stories that tie in with studies of science, social studies, and language arts. Today, she's telling a story she collected while on a traveling fellowship in Ireland. She will then demonstrate how she would use the images from this story with fifth graders to explore figurative language. Sara deBeer.
There were once 3 brothers. 2 of the brothers were very clever, very handy. Anything they tried to do, they did fast and they did well. But the youngest brother was another sort altogether. It took him a long time to get things done, and his brothers never gave him enough time. And so they said he couldn't do anything right. Now the 3 of them lived in a kingdom where there was a king who had a daughter. And this king said that the only person who could marry his daughter was someone who could build a boat that would sail on land exactly as if it were sailing on the ocean. Well, the 2 older brothers are convinced that they can do this, but they fail. The 3rd brother goes out in the woods. He gets a big pile of wood. He knows he can't build this kind of a boat the same way that he would build another. And then, thanks to his honesty, there before him in the forest is a gleaming boat. The wood joined together so perfectly that you couldn't tell where one piece of wood ended and the next one started. He had in his hand a willow wand. In Ireland, they call those thin sticks that you would get from the willow tree a wand. And he took that willow wand and he climbed up into the boat and he gave it a tap to make it go. And he started traveling along as if he were sailing on the ocean instead of in the forest. And he was moving so fast that the trees were just a blur on either side of him. But then he realized, running beside him, keeping up with the pace of that boat, was a man. And he took another look at that man and he saw that man was running that fast on one leg. He had the other leg strapped up under his arm. And he stopped the boat. He said, "Who are you and what do you do?" "I'm Run-All," said the man. "I can run faster than the wind." "Well, come on in this boat," said the boy. "You might be of service to me." He started it up again. Traveled along and traveled along. He saw a man with his ear flat down to the ground. And he was curious, so he stopped the boat. He said, "Who are you and what do you do?" "Oh," said the man, "you don't have to shout. I'm Hear-All. I can hear any sound in the world. I was just listening to the sound of the grass growing." "Well, come on in this boat," said the boy. "You might be of service to me." Well, they had seen a lot of strange things by this time, but now they saw something they could not believe. They saw a man breaking rocks with his backside. He would just sit on them and then there'd be nothing left but pebbles. Stopped the boat. Said, what did he say? "Who are you and what do you do?" "I'm Break-All," said the man. "I can break anything in the world just by sitting on it." "Well, come on in this boat, but come carefully. You might be of service to me." Unfortunately, Break-All had control over his powers. He got up and sat very gently into that boat. They started up, they traveled along, they sailed right up to to the king's palace. Now the king happened to be upstairs in the palace, and he looked out of the upstairs window, and he saw that they had a boat that could sail on land as well as on sea, and he stared a little more closely, and he thought to himself, I don't know which one of those men wants to marry my daughter, but I don't like the looks of any of them. And finally, the king says to them, you've done everything I've asked you to do. And I don't think there's a thing in this world you couldn't do, but I still don't like the idea of your marrying my daughter. So I'll tell you what, I'll give each one of you a bag of gold if you go away and leave us in peace. And the boy thought about it. Truth was, he'd never even met the king's daughter. He didn't know what she was like. And he knew what a bag of gold was like. So they each got a bag of gold. And they got up into that boat that could sail on land as well as on sea, started it up, sailed off. And that's all that I know of their adventures. So I want to meet with or communicate with in some way with the teachers I'm going to be working with, so that what I'm doing is not layered on top of what they're doing, but it really is part of what we're doing. So today we're imagining that I've been in contact with a fifth grade teacher, and she has said that she's working with figurative language. There were some wonderful men in that story, weren't there? They all had certain powers. Today, I have decided we're going to spend a little time thinking about hear all. Can anybody tell me anything you remember about hear all? What do you remember about hear all?
He could hear the grass. He could hear the grass grow.
He could hear the grass grow. Yes, absolutely. Good listening. Yes.
When the protagonist spoke to him, it hurt his ears. He said,
Okay.
"You're shouting."
A normal tone of voice from the boy hurt his ears. If we don't want to think about really loud sounds, what kind of sounds do we want to think about? We have soft, and we have quiet, and we have whisper, and we have faint. Anything
Subdued.
else? What?
Subdued.
Subdued. Okay. We're going to start off with the word as soft as, or you could say as quiet as faint
Whispering.
as whispery as the wind. Okay? So let's try that. I can hear anything in the world. I can hear sounds as whispery as the wind. Now we're going to do it again as a group. I can hear anything in the world. I can hear sounds, and I'll do this part, as quiet as a mouse. I can hear anything in the world. I can hear sounds as subdued as the night. I can hear anything in the world. I can hear sounds as soft as a caterpillar's footstep.